Hello, welcome to Ray-ality TV. I'm Raymond Bakari. Today I'm joined by Belen Florez, who is running for Providence City Council in Ward 12. The current city councilwoman, Kat Kerwin, isn't seeking re-election this year, opening up the seat for 2022. And the ward itself contains the neighborhoods of Smith Hill, downtown, parts of the east side, Elmhurst, and Valley. Ms. Flores, how are you today?
I'm good, Ray. Thank you for having me. How are
It's,
you today?
I'm doing great, and it's good to have you on. My first question, it's a general one. Why do you want to be Ward 12's next city councilor?
Well, right now, I think that Ward 12 needs a voice in City Hall. And I noticed that we don't have a work committee, so the work committee needs to come back. I believe that I'm the person to represent the people on Ward 12 by keeping my doors open to my constituents and listening to their needs.
And this is going to be an interesting primary since the incumbent isn't on the ballot this year. And there are two other opponents in the primary too, Althea Graves and Joseph Cornwall. What differentiates you from your opponents in this primary?
Well, Ray, being the only Latina and the only woman who has ran before, who has ran for office before, I also served in the committee in the Ward 6 committee, and I was an active advocate. Um, I started my own nonprofit organization, bringing families together and helping the community as well. So I think that differentiates me from my other two opponents.
If you're elected, what would be the first ordinance you would introduce as a council person?
For me, they're all very important. The quality of life. As a community advocate, I would be pushing for initiatives to help my community build and growth as people are bringing access to the services that are needed, including but not limited to the quality housing, education, healthcare, and safe and to maintain the roadways and walkways to advocate for that as well.
And I'm glad you mentioned housing because creating affordable housing is one of the top issues you're focusing on during this campaign. It actually plays into my next question. An excerpt from your website talks about maintaining current and implementing new programs to combat increasing rents and gentrification. What kind of programs do you envision being part of the solution?
I think we need to address the housing shortage and raising the cost of living in Providence. Providence residents needs the support to stay here. I will ask for additional rent relief and work with local landlords to keep homes affordable for the ward. Um, which working with my council mates and to create more affordable housing to help to battle these issues facing our residents.
And one other idea I've heard often when we talk about housing in Providence, usually resolves around the zoning laws. Loosening the zoning restrictions to create more housing because it's tough to build housing in some parts of the city right now. And I've also heard ideas like rent control too. I know you were talking with landlords. Are ideas like the zoning laws and rent control on your radar for addressing housing insecurity?
Yes, yes, it is. I think that with the constructions and with the construction companies and with the city council in the zoning department, we can work with different zoning to bring those affordable housing or housing to our communities and make it better. I think I will be looking into zoning changes if it's something that will benefit our ward.
Another top priority of yours is creating stronger infrastructure. This encompasses things like keeping the roads safe, our water clean, managing sewers properly, etc. Starting off with the roads, how do we keep them safe and not cracked?
Listen, it's a big job. It's a big job, especially on Ward 12 as I'm walking to, knocking on doors and walking the neighborhood. I have tripped a couple of times because the sidewalks are just, ridiculous and they're on level because the tree trunks bringing the sidewalks up and lifting them. So I think that that's one of the issues that it will come into mind to bring to the city council because it's very important. It's the safety of the people that are people who are in wheelchairs, people that need to walk, like especially the kids also, that affects them as well. But I'm more concerned about our elderly. Um, I'm also concerned about the elderly, the people with the wheelchairs that are, that needs to use the sidewalks, and these sidewalks are not safe for neither of them.
It's definitely a top issue to focus on throughout the city too, because even in my part of the city, it gets elevated because the tree trunks, and it's a hazard, safety hazard, especially definitely. Another part of the roads I want to talk about. Well, speaking of the roads, this topic kind of relates to it, but it's a big one right now in the city. It's about the license plate reading cameras. There's going to be 25 put up throughout the city. The police say that it's going to help them combat crime and keep the roads safe. Critics are raising complaints about privacy concerns. Actually, the current city councilor for your ward is one of those who are not on board with the cameras. What are your thoughts on the cameras?
With the cameras, there's two sides of it, the privacy of the people. But we also have to look for the safety of our neighborhoods. So in my case, or me personally, I think it's a good idea. So it will keep our neighbors, our neighborhood safe.
And looking at going back to infrastructure for a moment, because another part that I had mentioned in the very first question was keeping the water clean and managing the sewers properly, which that doesn't get talked about as much, and it's very important in Providence. Providence water, very important asset. The sewers, you have to have sewers run properly in order to keep your city thriving, and safe as well. Is this something that you would talk to the DPW about as a council person?
Actually, I am in contact, I will be in contact with the DPW. I want to work very closely with them in order for this to happen. As a city council, I want to make sure that we have clean water, that we have the good sewers, maintain sewers and things like that, because that goes back to our water system. So keeping it safe and keeping it clean and working with DPW, I think we can make it happen.
A big issue surrounding our city's education system right now is the public schools being under state control. Where do you stand on this current state of the state takeover?
I think we should give them a chance, the state a chance to fix the problem. If we don't, if when it comes back to us, I think that as a grandmother and a mother with children in public schools, I would like to work to return the oversight over the Providence schools to Providence. I will be working with the teachers so that the students and the teachers will have all the support that they need to succeed.
And the state takeover is just one part of this. When talking about education, I assume that there are other issues residents in the ward are bringing up to you when you're canvassing, such as repairing the buildings that are crumbling. Maybe more programs and resources, maybe even charter schools. Things. The whole nine yards. I would assume that they're bringing up. What are residents saying in the ward when you're canvassing when you talk about education?
Well, when I'm canvassing, a lot of the issues is the trash, city services. They bring up a lot of city services, the problem with the city services, with the trash, with some of the vacant homes, illegal dumping. And that's one issue that I would like to, address when I'm a city council.
Well, in terms of education, when did they bring up anything about education?
Not so far. So far, I haven't heard any complaints about the education or any changes with the education. But I try to implement that when I'm canvassing, so they do have an understanding of where we stand with the education programs and so on, so on. So that's a very important issue for me, which I also share with my constituents.
Another big topic under education right now is the push for a hybrid school committee. Currently, it's all mayor appointed. All 10 members are appointed by the mayor. Right now, it's going to be on the November ballot for voters in Providence for a hybrid option, which is half mayor appointed and then half elected. Are you in favor of the proposal for an elected school committee?
Yes, I am. I am. I think
Looking,
that
oh, sorry.
I think that will make a difference because it will have people from our committees, communities to represent. So I think that is going to be a good thing.
And looking at public safety, there's in recent years there's a big emphasis on funding and where resources should be going. Some have called for defunding the police to use that money to use that police budget money in other areas. Some have called for more funding to the police, hiring more officers. It's kind of a clear contrast right now when it comes to the way we should go about public safety in the city. Where do you stand on ideas like defunding the police?
I don't like the idea of defunding the police because the police is the people that, respond to our needs when they need to be. So I'm not in favor of defunding the police. I think that we should be creating more programs into the policing. So more police officers in diversity can graduate from these academies and we can have them in our communities, increasing the police officers in the police department. So that's where I stand.
Leah Bora is another big topic under public safety right now. For those watching, that's an acronym for the Law Enforcement Officers Bill of Rights. Although it's determined at the state level, it has created divided opinions amongst candidates in Providence seeking office and even current office holders in Providence. Should Leah Bora be repealed or reformed?
I didn't understand the question.
So the Law Enforcement Officers Bill of Rights, there's a push right now to either repeal it or reform it at the state level. Do you think it should be repealed, reformed?
I think it should be reformed.
These next few are shorter form questions I'm asking every city council candidate. Is there a certain committee you would like to be on if elected?
With my background experience with the Providence Housing Authority through my nonprofit organization, which through my nonprofit organization we have partnership with the Providence housing community. So I think I'll be more comfortable like in a housing development and things like that, public development. So I can continue my work and I can continue working with the Providence Housing to find ways on how to help people get affordable housing as well.
Who would you support for council president if elected?
Right now, I have to look at my, alternatives on that. I think that with the major changes in the administration, both on mayoral and level at the city council, I wouldn't feel, I wouldn't feel like I can answer that question right now. I think I'm gonna have to wait and see until I get elected, and work with the people inside the council and see which one it will be the correct one to vote for. And I'm pretty sure there is some of the city councils that are very, very that have the experience, and I believe that the person, all the persons that have the best knowledgement and understanding about what's going on and the experience of years of experience that they have. I think I will be leaning towards more towards the person that deserves that seat.
And which of the mayoral candidates do you plan to support for the September primary?
That one is a tough one because we have three great candidates, very smart. I had sat down and talked to the three of, to two of them actually. And I had conversations with them about the future of Providence. And I get good feedback. So I'm still deciding on that decision. I'm still.
Sorry, it was a bit of a delay there with the Zoom call, but my final question, it's a non-political topic. It takes a step away from the political issues. In your opinion, what do you think Rhode Island is best known for?
For the arts in all the restaurants, all the good restaurants. So I think, the arts make us a great, a great state, because we're very well known through the universities like RISD, the traditional Trinity Square and things like that. So I think that's one of the biggest things that we are known for.
I totally agree with you on that. We have, especially in Providence too, we have great organizations like AS220 that are very big on the arts. So, and it just makes everything so much better. Adds a lot of opportunities for the youth as well. With AS220, youth can get paid. The youth can get paid if they teach, or even just there's a couple of things in there. I haven't gone there myself, but I've heard a lot of great things. Ms. Flores, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure of mine to have you on.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for watching this episode of Ray-ality TV. If you want to see future episodes as soon as they're posted on this channel, please click the subscribe button down below and the post notification bell icon to the right of it. I'm Raymond Bakari. I'll see you on the next episode.